You still have their names on your tongue. You acknowledge them, you let them know that they still matter. And that is what
Coco nyamili, nyamili, Coco nyamili, nyamili, Coco nyamili, nyamili, Coco nyamili, nyamili, Ibole, Ibole, Ibobono, Ndamamihe, Ibole, Ibole, Ibobono, Ndamamihe. Ebulanyelu, anamabara na ihe dị njọ ma na-emezi konye ofeke anamabara nụ n'ihe dị njọ ma na-emezi konye feke Igbo bụ n'ndike ụmụ Igbo bụ n'ndike Umibobono ndike, umibobono nundike, Coco nyamini, nyamini, Coco nyamini. Ulonsogi chukuka na bata, biakute ya biazurike. Anya bịa wisọpụrụ gị ugbu a bịakute ya bịa zuru ike bịa o bịakute ya bịakute ya bịakute ya bịa zuru ike bịa o bịakute ya bịa o bịakute ya bịakute ya bịa zuru ike Chukwu nna n'ụlọ gị ka na-akpọ gị bịakute ya bịa zuru ike otito na-adịrị gị mgbe niile bịakute ya bịa zuru ike bịa o bịakute ya bịakute ya bịakute ya bịa zuru ike bịa o bịakute ya bịa o bịakute ya bịakute ya bịa zuru ike ụmụ eliwayi kọta n'otu bịakute ya bịa zuru ike ka anyị jikọfe ya ofufe Gọdian bịakute ya bịa zuru ike bịa o bịakute ya bịakute ya bịakute ya bịa zuru ike bịa o bịakute ya bịa o bịakute ya bịakute ya bịa zuru ike Gọdianism bụ ịhụnanya n'udo bịakute ya bịa zuru ike butere anyị ụzọ kpetara anyị azụ bịakute ya bịa zuru ike bịa o bịakute ya bịakute ya bịakute ya bịa zuru ike bịa o bịakute ya bịa o bịakute ya bịakute ya bịa zuru
Ndewo, good morning. Good morning, everyone. All of you are here, I know, in spirit. If you're not here physically, I know that you're here in spirit. It is my honor and pleasure to welcome you to another wonderful episode of Chism Live. Today, we are going to go into the next phase of the ancestral spiritual healing. But before we get started with all of that, let me welcome our co-host, Dibia Ochwaja, Yudi on your habit. Before I do that, let me just remind you what today is. Today is the month of Akamalo, month of justice and retribution. So it's really very important that you are careful who you mess with today, because retribution is in the air, and so is justice. This is the month that we behave ourselves. Let somebody teach us how to do so. Welcome, my co-host, Dibia Ochaja, UD, Onyoha, Imerare.
Carol, good morning.
Month of retribution.
Yes, yeah, guys, retributive justice.
Yes.
Retributive justice. So be careful, with your actions and what you do.
Yeah.
This is a month for you to be a blessing unto somebody else, so that what you get back is everything positive that can enhance and enrich your life. Life is about relationships. What you put in is what you get. You put in good vibrations, you get good vibes. You put in something bad, you're going to get the same thing in return. How you say, the laws of physics?
Yes.
For every action, there's an opposite reaction. Blah, 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 blah. So you know the story. So yeah, guys, here to everybody, and welcome to the show.
Yeah, guys, well, there are just two of us here for the moment. The other two will join us later. As you know, where two or more people are gathered, Chineke tends as it is with our ancestors. We know this room is full of our ancestors. Those who are here with us and those who are not here with us, we know that they are surrounded by Chineke and the ancestors. And we're hopeful that they will join us ultimately. I am excited about today. But, Yudi, before we get started, there's just so much going on in our world. And certain things that I would like us to talk about before we go into the main discussion today. It's so fascinating. I was watching this video. I don't know. I hope you have something you want to share with us. The child says, Yudi, hello to you. And Yagaze to you. This is Nkuna Charles. I thought I'd turn this thing off. But anyway, I want you to watch this video. This man broke off with his wife, and he chose not to walk away. Instead, he decided to take everything. Just watch this. Just watch this.
Mudaka, nyumba zinaanza tembea mbarabara sasa. Fenomene ya kwanza hii tunakutabu. Nyumba mudaka zinaanza tembea mubalabala. Donc ni matata huku. On commence à voir les coups. Nyumba zinaanza tembea mudaka. Donc embouteillage inaingia. Kongo chiko na maneno yake vraiment.
If you notice, he's moving the house.
Yeah, they're blocking the whole road.
For the family with him. That's what you see.
One inchi desordre negala mu inchi. Nyumba nageuka gari mbalabala. Crea embouteillage mpaka mwisho.
Look at all those cars.
That's horrible.
Why is he moving it? Where is he moving it to?
I don't know. Down the road. Somewhere else.
Hapa ni njia unarudia Bukavu.
Why is he moving the house?
He divorced his wife, and he had built a house for the family, for her family. And since he's no longer with her, he said, "Oh, I'm taking my house back too."
And he literally took it.
He took the house. I thought that was a very interesting thing to share.
It was interesting because my first thing is, on whose land did he build the house in?
I don't know.
Because unless if it's on their land, I understand it. But if it's the land that he purchased, why is he literally taking the house instead of telling the people they got to leave the house because it's on his land?
It must not be his land. It must not be his land.
That's comedy gold. That is comedy gold, man. That is so funny.
Comedy gold. I'm like, you know what? If I can't have it, you can't either. Anything you want to share, maybe there's some some things going on in the world that you noticed this week you want to share with us? Anything?
It's just, I won't be specific. I mean, most of it is happening here in the United States, but it's just the level of ignorance in the world. You know, people are so ignorant just about almost everything, you know, when it comes to life and history and human relationships and the interdependence of one nation, you know, on another nation, and how cross-cultural pollination works and all that. You know, it's like it's a web. Our lives, no matter where we are in this world, one way or another, especially in modern times where you have, you know, trade, you know, internationally speaking, it's wound. It's wound up like that. And why some people feel that they could go it alone is what I really don't understand. Like in the United States and the Conservative Party, what I really wanted to kind of just share real quickly is what happened in Tennessee here, and you could relate that to our relationship, you know, with white folks all over the world. In Tennessee, there was a school shooting a couple of weeks ago or something like that, and 3 children, 2 teachers, and the custodian were killed. And 3 Tennessee legislators joined the rest of the people protesting gun violence. And the legislative body in Tennessee, because they have the supermajority, now decided that they're going to just expel the 3 legislators that participated in a peaceful protest, which is their right to do so. Right? Republicans, you know, Major, what's her name? Marjorie Taylor Greene was in New York with a bullhorn. Of course, she was shut down, but she was not expelled from U.S. Congress. The congressman from New York that lied about being black, then lied about being Hispanic, then said his parents were in a Nazi concentration camp, told all manner of lies. Businesses he owned, everything. He's still in Congress.
Still in Congress.
Representing the Republican Party. But 3 Democrats protest a legitimate issue that we're having. Children getting killed, school shootings, children getting killed by gun is the #1 cause of death for children in the United States. It's not car accidents, it's not diseases, it's none of that stuff. It's gun violence, the #1 killer of children. Now, what really gets to me is that when they finally expelled the legislators in Tennessee, they expelled 2 black legislators, but the 3 legislators, there were 2 black legislators and 1 white legislator, woman. They got rid of the black ones and kept the white lady. What is this, slavery? This is Jim Crow stuff. It's like 2021, all of a sudden, the great United States is regressing into the dark ages. Badly. And here's where they're going to have to, what they're going to have to contend with, not just about the implosion that eventually is going to happen in the United States, because people are just not going to sit around and let it happen. The minorities include Chinese, Indians, Native Americans, Africans, African Americans, people of all races against the European ilk here in America. As far as America is concerned, there's going to be an implosion at some point, you know, where there's going to be cultural war right here and it's over with. And while they're doing it, China is fortifying itself, both militarily and economically.
Unifying its people,
while America is over here wondering about if you're conservative, if you're liberal, if you're black, if you're white, if you're Asian, if you're whatever the heck they can come up with. The
fall will be hard.
Rome imploded. Rome, do you realize that Rome was never captured? It was never conquered. Rome imploded internally before outside forces now came to reap the benefits of its implosion for them. This is where I see this country going. This is the future that I see for our kids. There's going to be an implosion at some point. This thing is now blatant.
Yes.
It's happening in the U.S. Congress. It's happening here. There are 30-something red states in America. Florida. It's happening all over. At some point, we're going back to Jim Crow, and for you to officially institute it, there will be violence. That's what I'm afraid of. And that's what I don't want to see.
Intelligence, some aspect of intelligence is natural, but a lot of it has to be learned. And these people have not learned how to connect with relate to the rest of the world. So they are just so stuck in this primitive.
But remember, it's America. It's an American problem. Europeans ain't having that problem. Yeah, there are racists over there. Don't get me wrong. They got their own racism thing like that. But their country is not built upon diversity. Like the United States, the Constitution, you know, every man has a right to blah, 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 blah. Whatever it is that you preach here, now you got to practice it. And anybody that tries to hold you to your Constitution has now become the enemy. That's that's America now. Anybody that talks about the right interpretation of the Constitution in the United States is now the enemy of white conservatives.
It's too woke.
It's still damn woke. The wokeness now takes a whole new meaning. In other words, you cannot be awake. You have to be ignorant so that you can be led like a sheep. Yes. That is what's going to satisfy these people that bite the fingers that feed them. Most Republican states are the poorest in the United States. They get more government aid from any other state. And yet, they are the ones with the madness. It's crazy.
Yes, it's deplorable. Unfortunately, this is the world we live in now. And hopefully we will wake up. Dibia Chiodozie Okoro is not here yet. And Dibia Simona is running a little late. And so we shared, we were going to share what in the news that they may have seen or witnessed and felt important to share. But anyway, today is the third day of our ancestral spiritual healing. Let me remind us that our ancestors are never away from us. As a matter of fact, right where you are, they are, because those spirits are there to support us. So you may not see them, but you can feel and hear them to some degree, depending on how you have prepared your mind to be willing to hear and feel and welcome them into your midst. Most of our ancestors were very powerful. They did exceptional things, and we are part of all those exceptional things they did. We are they are us, and that is so important. And once you have that understanding, it's not easy for people to discriminate against your mind. It's not easy for people to tell you're not good enough. You know, when people say those kinds of things, they're talking about themselves, not about you. Because if you know who you are, if you acknowledge the power of your ancestors and embrace and accept it, then you know you were powerful. And when I talk about powerful, I don't mean that your ancestors were kings. Some were, but some were just regular human beings who did exceptional things. And we are part of that. Even just giving birth to us, that makes them exceptional, you see. So we need to honor them because, like I said earlier, we are they are us. So in African ancestral spiritual healing, we are striving to tap into these powers, these past, these good things they did in the past, the achievements of our ancestors that we can continue to carry out and also add to our repertoire or add to what we are doing. In the last 2 weeks, we discussed the steps in ancestral healing. And if you're going to start this, remember to sit quietly on the floor in a quiet space. You don't need to have people around you. And if people are in the family, it's okay. You're not going to chase them away because you're doing a healing session. But find a space in the house, even if you have to go and lock yourself in the bedroom, because you need quiet. And do let family know that you're having a moment with your spiritual healing. Now, sometimes, family members may choose to join you, and it's perfectly okay, as long as everybody understands that at that moment, we have to be quiet and peaceful. Week 1, we talked about Ijiko, and that is connecting connecting to our ancestors, understanding who the ancestors were when they had breath. What did they do? What language did they speak? What kind of work did they do? You know, you want to know a little bit about them. Where did they come from? Did they come from West Africa, East Africa, South Africa, North America, wherever? Where did your ancestors come from? You want to know those things so that you know who it is you're coming in space. So, you know, to have the pictures of your ancestors right there, so you know exactly, particularly those who have achieved the ripe old age of 80. Have them around you. We spoke about the first one. The second one was igente, to listen. Listen means respect. Let's not come here and talk about this. Let's actually practice it, because let me tell you, what you practice becomes part of your reality. So practicing it, and I've tried to practice what I preach, so to speak. So I've been doing this, and it's a beautiful thing. It's really very beautiful. When we talked about day 2, igente, to listen, to hear the ancestors, to respect them. When you hear them, you're respecting them. When you listen, you're providing respect their way. You know, you're letting them know, I am respecting you. I want to hear what you have to say. We spoke about the African proverb that states, open your ears to the ancestors and you will understand the language of spirits. In silence, you can hear things ordinarily you would not hear. So day 2 is to listen inwardly, pay attention to your surrounding, to your quiet space. You'll be amazed at the kinds of things you will hear as you as you speak in their language, as you ask questions. You'll be amazed at some of the responses you will get. And I did this, and I'm telling you, it's so soothing. You take 4 days. I've done my day 3. I'm going to finish my day 4 for, you know, you're supposed to do this every month. So I've done my day 3. I'm going to do my day 4 coming up next. So the important thing to know, as I indicated earlier, is that silence does allow you to hear. Pay attention to what you're hearing and be quiet. You don't have to talk all the time. But in this third meditation, I'm going to tell you very honestly, I loved this one because of what it's asking us to do. Again, you sit in this circle or space or whatever, wherever you're comfortable. It may be a circle. You may be sitting on the floor. You may sit on a chair. I prefer to do it outside, you know, when it's warm, of course, not when it's cold. In the third meditation exercise, when you sit down, you have to invite the ancestors to enter. Actually say that you are inviting them. It's important to be reminded that they're always there. So when I say invite them, it doesn't mean that they were anywhere else. They're always with you. But I mean invite them so they are there for that moment for a specific reason, because you're asking them for something or you're doing an exercise that involves them. So it's a special reason that you're inviting them in. They listen to every word that comes out of your mouth and are prepared to work with you as you journey through your challenges. You're talking to them about your challenges. You're talking to them about what matters to you, or you talk about your joys. It doesn't always have to be, you know, all the bad things that are happening to you. I'm sure all of us have good things to us, so we need to share that as well. And so again, remember to make spiritual contributions to our ancestors with food and plants. You put that in your space. That at that moment, you're interacting with the ancestors. So those are some of the things that you have to do. Have pictures of your ancestors around you, or pictures of your great grandmothers, your great grandfathers, whomsoever that you do have. But that's why it's good to save those old pictures for the children to have. You know, find it. Or most of us have pictures of our ancestors, maybe not too far. You know, maybe 2 or 3 years. I don't know. Some people have it more than that. Some people have it have great grandmothers, great grandfathers. Some people keep those pictures, but whatever it is you have that you can dig out, please. And I think it's terrible to say to dig out, because really, to honor them, we really should have their pictures somewhere. You know, probably not all of it, but somewhere we should have a picture of our ancestors in our home, particularly our parents, our grandparents. If we have those pictures, it's very good for the children to have it. So right now, as we talk about day 3 is called MGBAGHARA. MGBAGHARA. That is reconciliation. We commit to make things right. See, we don't commit to make things right just for ourselves. We commit to make things right for our ancestors as well. There's an African proverb for reconciliation, which says, when elephants fight, it is the grass that suffers most. See, the actions of our ancestors in the past, you know, may also hurt us. It hurt them and it will hurt us. It's hurting us. Some of the things that they have experienced, the harshness or the hideous struggles in political, social, economic, religious realms, they suffered all those things. So what we're seeing today is not just what we're going through, but also what they're going through. So those are the kinds of things that we want to forgive and forget. Their deep wounds from the ruthless blows to their bodies for those of us whose ancestors were enslaved, those whose minds were conscripted into the new religious front. And the soul of those individuals who left us, some of them in pain, some of them left on their own, some of them had to do anything to regain their humanity. But when we forgive, we actually bless humanity by forgiving our ancestors. So we heal through MGBAGHARA reconciliation, to forgive. It is a powerful, I did this is the third one I did, is a powerful ancestral healing work. And it is intensity. It's intensity. If accelerated, it does heal. It heals our ancestors in the past and also offers us peace. Let us be reminded that the ancestors, as you sit there and you're doing your healing, remember that they dwell inside of us as well, because we are they and they are us. They are inside of us, and everywhere we are, we take them with us. So honoring them starts with us doing work on their behalf. That healing, that forgiveness, it has to come from us. Our ancestors are part of our destiny, and we inherit everything from their mental programming and the beliefs to their spiritual debts and wounds, everything, just as we pass that on to our generations after us. So it is important for us to forgive them and help them to forgive and forget what happened to them. And we forgive them for whatever role they played in what happened way back when. All the miseducation that they received, because we know our ancestors did that, received miseducation about who they are, all the pain that was levied on them, we have a responsibility to free them from them. And in so doing, we free ourselves as well. So sitting in your circle, you want to remind the ancestors after sometimes when you get started, pour libations in your own way. There's no specific way to pour libations. You can use water, you can use oil, you can use whatever it is that you can use kola nut to do libations before they come into your space. So when you start, you remind them that you're here with every breath that you have, that you forgive them for anything, any role that they played in the past that caused any strife in the family. And mean it. Don't just say it. Mean it. I mean, if you really focus and say it with all your capacity, I mean it, and don't waver. Let it come through you like you really mean this. I'm telling you, I forgive you. I really forgive you. Tell them that you're giving up the old negative ways for the new. and that you give up the bad for the good. Tell them that. Tell the ancestors that you will allow change to take place for them through you. Say that, and say like you mean it with all your capacity. Tell them that you appeal for healing of your own consciousness, and in so doing, you're offering them freedom. Say that to them as you sit in your circle, as you inhale and exhale. Remind them that you offer them freedom to know that you will live the truth. You will not live a lie. And now you're doing that for them, that you have the ability to choose when they didn't have the ability to choose. That you will live in a state of being without thought of confinement when they were confined. You will resist any restraint, any limitation, and that you will live your life with a sense of well-being within which will manifest into the outer world. Say that to them. Remind them that you are setting them free of conflict, that you are setting them free from confinement, that you're setting them free from confusion, you're setting them free from anger, you're setting them free from depression, you're setting them free from denial, you're setting them free from desperation, you're setting them free from fear, you're setting them free from greed, you're setting them free from guilt, you're setting them free from jealousy, you are setting them free from pain, you are setting them free from personal lies, you are setting them free from shame, you are setting them free from temptation. It is Freedom Day. You are transforming them from any negative life and structures and conditions that may have been the nature of their being when they have breath. You're shifting your consciousness that will result in the release of false information, false ideas, false beliefs about who they were as your honorable ancestors. I remember when I used to attend some African-American cultural events in different parts of the United States, offering forgiveness on behalf of my ancestors for whatever role they played in the slave trade. There's no reason for us to think that our ancestors didn't play a role. Of course they did. But how they did it and what caused them to do that, we don't know for a fact, except that some of them thought they were doing the right thing and not knowing the extent of danger they were putting their own people in. We may heal. And you know what was so interesting is that I found out when we did those healing exercises that a lot of the African Americans actually were very angry with Africans for that reason. They were very angry for the role that they felt that our ancestors played in their slavery. They were angry about that. But when I came as a descendant from those ancestors and letting them know that we are apologizing for whatever the role they played, that we love them and we welcome them back into our hearts. And we ask them to forgive our ancestors, our collective ancestors. It was so amazing, the response that we got, all the hugging and all the tears that were shed, being things that were pent up in these people were just being overflowed. UD was there. He saw it. They were just letting go. They were just letting go. They were happy that we were there to ask for forgiveness for the ancestors. So when you do a healing service, you have to forgive. You have to ask for forgiveness for the ancestors and let the ancestors that you forgive them and what you are doing, that you're dealing, this healing is not just for their healing, but for your healing as well. We may heal by forgiving those who hurt them and forgiving things they did themselves. We heal. We must repay whatever liabilities they have if we can. We must speak facts and correct misinformation. This is a part of the spiritual restitution. Reconciliation work allows us to clear conflicting forces around us that stem from the past. And this can bring us immense peace to our minds, to our bodies, and to our ancestors. This is the third spiritual healing. And MGBAGHARA, for those of you who may write it down, is MGBAHARA. ARA, reconciliation, MGBAGHARA. And I have a little book that I have put together. So if you want it, please text me and let me know that you would like to have this book for your service, for your healings, your healing work. Yes, I think Queen is here. Hello, how are you?
Very good. How are you?
Good morning.
Good morning.
Good morning
Nice
to you,
everyone. Good morning.
Yes.
Good morning. Thank you for joining us. It was so wonderful. I did the third ancestral healing practice session by myself, and just all those things that you have to forgive is just powerful.
Yes.
It's just a powerful thing to forgive, because they may have done things in the past and they were never forgiven, and they never had the opportunity to give restitution for whatever the role they play. But because they are part of us, that's something that we must do. You do your thoughts.
Oh, I mean, perfect. There's not really much to add in terms of process, other than just to touch on a few important aspects of meditation. One of the most important components, you just talked about it, which is MGBAGHARA, right? To forgive.
Yes.
Okay.
Yes.
The mistake that we make sometimes spiritually is to think that our ancestors were perfect.
Yes.
They weren't perfect. They made the same mistakes that we make today. We cannot look at our ancestors and just think that it's all goody gumdrops, right? It doesn't work like that. It's sort of like a lot of Black people, people from African extract that are abroad, right? This is a phenomenon that deals with diasporan Africans, where they always say, we were kings and queens. No, you weren't.
Mm-hmm.
If we were kings and queens, we probably wouldn't even be enslaved right now. We wouldn't have been enslaved. No, we had leaders that were kings and were queens. They're in the minority. It's less than 0.0009%. The rest of us were just regular folks going about their daily lives, farmers, DBS, doctors, engineers, warriors, mothers, husbands, and what have you. MGBAGHARA is very, very important. And what I just wanted to add to it is you can always talk to yourself no matter where you are, right? You can always have this introspection. You can always talk to yourself, whether you're driving to work or do whatever it is you want to do. But it's also very important that you have a hallowed place in your house for psychological focus, where you can actually focus and start feeling the magic, the strength, the connection to your chi and your ancestors as you call them to join you. You must really have a hallowed place in your house. Call it a shrine, call it what you want. A church is a shrine, just made more grandeur by money. So is a mosque. Shrine is not a negative word. It just means a place of worship, a place where you could go to fellowship. That's what it is. It doesn't necessarily have to be this building that is somewhere out there that you have to go to on Sundays or whatever day of the week that you go to worship. You could create a hallowed space in your home where you could go in with whatever frequency is you're comfortable with, to go and purge your mind, to relax, to concentrate, to feel the chi, your chi, to talk to your ancestors, to invite them in. And the reason why you're inviting them in is because you need to know where you've been to know where you're going. Sometimes your ancestral lineage or your ancestors, they have the answer to what's ailing you, both spiritually and otherwise today. Put it this way, right? You walk into a room and it stinks. I mean, it just smells bad in that room. You have a can of air freshener. In that air freshener is a whole lot of beautiful smell that can make that room smell good. So you walk in there and you press it, the smell comes out, and all of a sudden the room is not stinking anymore. That kind of spray is your MGBAGHARA, is part of your meditation. It's part of trying to figure out what is going on in your life, in your community. How did you get here? You listen to both the good, the bad from your past for you to be able to decipher your situation, at least on a spiritual level, so you could be able to make more informed decisions.
Yes.
A lot of people of African ancestry were sitting over here and we're crying about how the world is treating us and no respect and our leadership and blah, 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 blah. But there's a level of self-inflection that needs to go in for you to figure out why we're in the position that we're in today. It involves a lot of our ancestors that were enslaved.
Yes.
Were there some Africans that helped to enslave other Africans? Yes. Did they really have a choice in it? Some of them did, some of them didn't. You have to be honest with this introspection. Honesty is everything. The truth shall set you free. That is really the, listen, some people can't handle the truth, and the truth can get you all messed up inside sometimes. But there's really no other way but to face the truth if you want to get, improve your condition. You have to be truthful about everything, whether it feels good or it doesn't feel good. The truth is one aspect of spirituality that doesn't change. You can spin it all you want to, but the truth is always there. It may not be very visible to you, but it's always there. But a level of inflection, a level of looking inside, a level of being honest with yourself can provide some answers to what's ailing you, both spiritually and physically. And one of the most important aspects of this inflection is MGBAGHARA, not just looking at what your ancestors may have done, both outside and inside your family, tree, but also people around you at the moment, friends, whoever that may have wronged you. And you find out that the inability to forgive, you don't have to forget. There's a difference. Forgiving don't mean you forget anything. Because what happened to you is a way for you to learn what to do and what not to do.
That's right.
But forgiveness is like that can of spray. When you spray, the good perfume comes out of your can of spray, and all of a sudden, the room smells better. MGBAGHARA is like coming into a dark room and switching the light on. And all of a sudden, you could see everything in front of you. When you bottle things inside, it's like living in the dark. It's a darkness in your soul. And the only way for you to bring in the light, to bring in the beautiful smell, is for you to forgive. You don't have to forget. But forgiveness is part of your meditation journey. MGBAGHARA. Because only when you free your soul, are you able to bring in something that is good? Are you able to bring in the light? Are you able to release the smell from the spray so that the room smells better? If you have everything clogged up and bundled up inside of you, and you don't have the ability to let it out, you're dying a slow spiritual death. So MGBAGHARA is a very important aspect of your meditative journey, your spiritual journey. Forgive. You don't have to forget. Create a hollow spot in your household where you could go and dine with the ancestors. Listen to your chi. Invite your ancestors in. When you create, sometimes you might want to go to your hollow place and you cook and you prepare food. Prepare food for your ancestors and put it next to you. While you're eating, invite them to come and eat with you. What you're doing is opening the communication line between the living and the dead. The dead is always going to be around. People are always going to die.
That's right.
And people in your family will die. You will die. But that's the connection there. Like we mentioned earlier, I think about 4 weeks ago, we talked about life's journey. Life is like a revolving door.
Yes.
It's coming and going. The living, the dead, the living, the dead, reincarnation. It's a cycle. It's unending. It's been there since the dawn of history. It's always been there. Whether you're an ant, ants get born just like you. Maybe not, you know, a woman getting pregnant, or the female ant, you know, having a child, just like a human being or whatever. Insects don't do that. They have eggs.
Mm-hmm.
But this process, trees die and grow. Life and death is life. That's what it's all about. It's coming and going. You don't shut the door between the living and the dead. There are cultures in this world that once a year, they bring mummified remains of their family members into the house and prepare a meal. And everybody will be eating and laughing and doing all kinds of stuff.
Yes.
That's that connection. When you talk about your ancestors, it is that connection between life and death. It is about that revolving door of coming and going. So, Mbara, very important, forgive. You don't have to forget. But when you forgive, you let the potpourri out. You let the light come in so that your life may become a little brighter and smell a little better.
Yes.
Yes.
Yes, absolutely. Dr. Monet, your thoughts on it?
Yes, I would just first like to thank Chena K and the ancestors that are here today, and the knowledge that you have brought forth as my spiritual leaders, because this is knowledge that has expounded on what Spirit has taught me. I didn't come from a spiritual background, and I didn't come from a African spirituality or anything, or knowing a lot of the practices that I even do in my practices. But Spirit had taught me a lot of what we're doing now. I've learned through the ancestors, and I listened, and this is even expanding what it is that the ancestors has taught me even further, because it hits home to me, because in my work, I do healing through people's ancestors. Their ancestors will come up, and that reconciliation is so important. Especially, I've had clients that were suicidal. They were, their loved one passed. They were angry at that loved one that passed, but did not feel comfortable with saying there was things that was not settled. So we settle those things. I've helped people to settle those things through the ancestors, and the ancestors tell me, I'm sorry. I'm sorry for what I did. One of my clients, his mother was on drugs while he was growing up, and she died. He didn't know what to do with that because he was still angry. And his mother, through me, she described a lot of things, so he knew it was her, things that I would not have known, and even told me about the drugs. And she said, I am so sorry. That was so healing for him. And it was one of the things to help him to move past and be able to heal, to receive his healing, because he was suicidal.
Yes.
The suicidal thoughts, all of that changed once we were able to reconcile with his mother, because he said she died. I could not, she didn't even say sorry.
That's powerful, right there.
But she came to me and said, I just want to let him know that I'm sorry. I'm sorry for what I did. I wasn't there. It was so powerful. And I've done that for other people too, that they need to go back. Another person that I was working with, his mother committed suicide. We had to get reconciliation, because why would you leave me here? He felt abandoned. Why would you leave me here? We came to that reconciliation, and he received the healing. He was able to move forward in his life. You know, so this is so powerful, and I encourage people to go through this process. And for me, what my ancestors, it feels as if one of my aunts that I was very close to that passed, you know, she's been wanting me to make one of her cakes, and she's been giving me the message. There's things that I need to heal, and you know, she wants to help me with that process, but I've been avoiding it. I do it for others, but I haven't done it for myself. There's reconciliation that things I need to deal with, and calling on an ancestor and helping me myself to heal.
Yes.
You know, as a healer, sometimes you're the last one to heal because you're healing everyone else, but you forget about yourself. But Spirit is saying, and the ancestor is saying, it's time for you to heal too. You know, what you apply for others, apply to yourself. So this is so powerful, and it's really, you know, impacted me today, because Spirit is saying, you know, it's time for you to have reconciliation for yourself. You stand in the gap for your ancestors. One of the and being on here and all of this is part of honoring my ancestors, because of everything they have gone through. Our spirituality was taken. If it wasn't, and the things that we did know, we had to hide, you know. So standing in the gap for them, fighting for their justice, gaining justice for my ancestors is very important, you know. So it means a lot to me. And it, you know, I thank you as my spiritual leaders of teaching me how to connect even at a deeper level with my ancestors.
You say, beautiful.
That's right. That's right.
Beautiful.
Beautiful, beautiful. You know, you know, there's an African song, you know, where people try to solve problems without thinking about how their ancestors did it, you know, and because you're trying to learn, you're still on the journey yourself. You don't know everything. So you don't know how to solve everything. But if you can reach back and say, how did they do it back then? There's a song. I remember that, Yudi. Bene kpọmụni nwanne m bụ ewu dọcha bene kpọna ewu dọcha na alarụ nilo bene kpọmụni nwanne m bụ ewu doji bene kpọna ewu doji na alarụ n'ọgwawu bene gbo. What is that saying? When my mother was passing away, she reminded me, when I leave this earth, don't cry. You have relatives that will take care of you. And this is how you find your relatives. On your way to finding your relatives, you will come to a space where you will find what is that? Goats. Okay. And then one of your relatives has a habit of leaving the white goats outside at night, but you're going to hear the bleating of the black goats indoors, and they're indoors because at night you can't see them. If you set out looking for these relatives and you come to a place where you see the white goats outside and you hear the bleating of the black ones inside because of day and night, you will know you come to the home of your family. Now, it sounds simplistic and silly, but the point I'm making is that the ancestor is telling them, you're not lost. This is what you look out for, to find your relatives, to find where you belong, to find who you belong to. These are some, if you listen, you will not get lost. Look at certain things to find who you are. And that is why it's so important to read, to learn about our history, so that we are not lost, so that we don't think we're alone. The work has been done. The ancestors have done it. We just need to not discard them. We just need to look at what they did and find where we're going.
True.
Nobody's saying go live in the past, but you see, the past has been written. Check it out and see what did they use to find their way. Simple story my mother told me. You cannot get lost if you listen. This is what you look for. This is what you look at. When you hear the bleating of the goats inside, that means they are black goats, because you don't leave them outside because it's too dark so people don't steal them. But you see the ones that are white, they are left outside. People, you can see them. And you can see if somebody's trying to do something to them. Simplistic, yes, but that's what she said. That's how you find your way, by listening to the stories that your ancestors told. That's how you find your way. But what have we done as a people? We have discarded the ancestors. We don't want to hear what they did. We don't want to know what they did. And we are trying to be recognized by others when we don't recognize ourselves. Don't ask me to honor you when I can see that you can't honor yourself.
True.
When you make friends that tell you, oh, you don't want to be like them. Who are them? Your people? What do you think they think of you? Anybody who tells you to forget you, they're making you invincible. You don't matter anymore. They are willing to accept you as a non-entity because you've accepted that your people didn't matter. And so, quite frankly, you don't matter. Now, you may think they love you. They don't. I'm looking at all the ceremonies today. I'm yet to see anybody carrying a black God. Everybody's carrying a white God. Now, there's nothing wrong with that if that's who you are. But if I'm standing next to a person of a different race and I'm willing to worship their God, what do you think they think of me? There's nothing wrong with what they're doing. Let's understand. There's nothing wrong with what they're doing. They are honoring themselves as they should. It's not going to be any better for them to honor me. I'm just saying, let us honor us. When we honor ourselves, we honor our ancestors. They become significant again. Every time that we abandon our ancestors and we don't want to call upon them, we don't want to surround ourselves with who they are, we become less and less significant in the world. Do not ask people to recognize you when you refuse to recognize yourself. When we have children who say, I don't want to go to school. Why do you not want to go to school? Because they laugh at me. Why do they laugh at you? Because they say I'm black and I'm ugly and I'm dirty, I'm overcooked, I'm overbaked, all that kind of stuff. A child who doesn't understand that that's foolishness on the part of those other kids. They internalize all of that. If you're not teaching them, that's why I say to all those parents who live in Florida, I don't care what's his name, what's the governor of Florida is doing. What is the governor of Florida?
DeSantis.
Ron DeSantis? It doesn't matter that he doesn't want to tell your story. It's not up to him to tell your story. It's up to you. You're not running around here telling their story to your children. If that's what you're doing, then you are as much at fault as he is. Tell your own story. Let your children know who they are at home. Teach them how to honor their parents. Teach them to take their shoes off when they walk into the house and put it to the side. Teach them to say, yes, ma'am. Yes, sir. Teach them to clear the table when they get through eating. Teach them to pull the chair out for mom before she sits. Teach them to give thanks to the ancestors and Chineke when they get ready to eat. Teach them to remember those ancestors who were significant in their community. That's your job. Now, Ron DeSantis. Heck, yeah. Ron DeSantis doesn't even know who he is. That's his problem, and that's his parents' problem. That's not my problem. You can fight for the right things in the school system, but just remember whose responsibility it is to teach those children what they need to know. Teach your children to walk in the light of Chineke. Teach their children to know right where I am, God is. Chineke is in whatever language. Tell them that they are clean in their spirit and they're clean in their skin. Everything about them is perfect. Chineke does not make mistakes. Chineke didn't make mistakes with our ancestors and certainly didn't make mistakes with us. Teach your children that. When we do spiritual healing, connecting to the power within us, our ancestors are the power. Chineke is the power. Of course, we always start with thanking Chineke for breath, the greatest gift of all, the ability to inhale and exhale. And then we start talking to our ancestors. That little story I told you, that little silly story, you know, Mom always told us stories as a way of lessons.
All the time. All the time.
Before we go to bed, we'll sit around her feet. She didn't read from a book.
No, because you have to understand too, Mom was a traditionalist, right?
She told stories based on what she learned from the ancestors, what her people told her from Asaba.
Yeah.
She just told us things that will make you go, oh, wow, lessons. But she's just carrying over. That's why I say you carry over to the next generation what the ancestors taught them. It doesn't mean that you can't learn anything new. It doesn't mean that. There's so much new we can learn. But what our ancestors taught us, we have to start honoring and respecting. So when you're doing healing, ancestral spiritual healing, you are honoring and respecting them. And when you're doing that, you are respecting yourself. Today, there are so many people out there honoring and respecting other people's ancestors. Not theirs. Many people are out there dressed to kill to honor someone else's ancestor. But when you ask them to honor their own, oh, they won't do none of that.
Becomes a problem.
Oh my God, what's that? Well, you know, is that voodoo stuff and all that stuff? And it tells you that many things have been done to our minds. Anytime an individual becomes numb to ridicule, they don't even know these things they're doing they're being ridiculed. I read something was sent in WhatsApp, and it was written by a European. The comments by the Africans in the forum was very, very disappointing. Everybody said, you see, it's true. You see, it's not a black person who said it. It's a white person who said it. What does it matter? Does it mean when a black person said it, it wasn't true?
What is that Biafra thing?
Yeah, why are you so excited?
I mean, it was so, I
can't believe the excitement.
Yeah.
Oh, it wasn't said by a black person. It was let me tell you, my dear people, spiritual healing. You know what I'm talking about. I was outdone. So I said, what's the point?
I posted it.
I said, what is the point here? What is the point? The person is praying and telling us what's going to happen with the situation in Nigeria with the election. You know, the election is going to go this way because God talked to her. I said, okay. Well, God talked to all those young people who went out there and voted. We already know what the result is. Our people voted. They know what the result is. They're fighting it now. But it takes this woman to convince us Aha, you see? She said it. Well, good for her, but she's saying what we've been saying. Nothing new. But it had more credence to many of us because it wasn't one of us saying it. We have a responsibility, really do, to speak to our ancestors, to ask them, what, how do we get out of this foolishness we're caught up in? Because we're caught up in a lot of foolishness. But it's getting better. It's getting better because we are becoming a little bit more aware of what's going on. And the more we are able to let our children know that you are okay, there's nothing wrong with you. Give up on all those misconceptions about your ancestors. Embrace them. Know that you are a reflection of them. Know that they are good enough. Know that thousands of them are walking with you. You're not alone. That is when we become proud people. When they say that you're having a problem, they tell you to let go of the baggage as you're walking through life. If you have baggage, fear, all kinds of human emotions that are holding you back, they tell you to drop the baggage as you walk forward. But in this case, as we do ancestral spiritual healing, we're saying walk forward with the ancestors. We don't want you to abandon those. That's not Ibu. That's not the Ibu we want you to drop. That's not the baggage, the load we want you to drop. That's the ones we want you to pick up and walk with them, because that's power. That's where your power lies. Let me invite Dibia Chedozie. Hello, Dibia. How are you?
I'm fine.
$1.
No.
Hey.
Sorry for I've been a truant. I've been a truant.
You what? You've been a what?
Sorry.
He said he's been a truant.
I've been a truant.
Oh, you've been truant. We're going to tell your students.
Yeah.
I'm a student for life. Student for life.
You've been exposed.
Yeah, so I'm learning much on the program.
Yeah. Yes,
so
sir. Welcome. Welcome.
Yes.
I don't know, Didi, I don't know how much you heard. Is there anything you want to say based on what we talked about? Or did you just...
I just came in. All I saw is that it's the month of Kamalu.
You just came in.
Kamalu, yeah, by Kamalu, that's what in my own side we call Amadioha. One is called Shango. We understand ordinarily for it to be the principles of the sky, that which dealing with speed of light, that which responds quickly, it answers quickly. As it is said in tradition, it is the God that answereth by fire, like you have it in the Christian Bible. And it's so quick, like the speed of light. So especially if you are innocent. And that is why if we are living within our culture, one should be careful how you deal with people, because if people are really innocent, that's innocent, you've cheated someone, and be it a man, and especially a woman, or a child, especially a child that does not attain the age of reason, and the individual does not know, maybe it's even Kamalu's shrine. The individual is just around the place crying and really sorrowing, kind of sorrowful cry, wailing, what we call Akuimeri. Before you say Jack Robinson, Kamalu has gone and returned, punished the individual involved. And so it works on Ogunofo, works on justice. But you must go to Kamalu on equity. You can't go to Kamalu with your hands dirty, because if the person is dirty or the person around you is dirty, it will first take that individual. And so it does not deliver justice haphazardly, and it does not deliver selective justice. So that is to say, for our ancestors, the scale of justice was not tilted. It was straight as in straight, horizontal. But in today's justice system, it's a bit tilted, maybe, which is why the law can be, it's an ask, you can write it. For our traditional system, be it justice system based on Kamalu or the eighth deity, Allah, it's, you can't bend just. It's all based on the principle of Oguna or for. You must go there with clean hands, equity. Okay, so that's the little I can say for now. Thank you.
Absolutely
Thank
correct.
you.
The month of regarding justice and retribution, Kamalo, and then Amadioha deals with divine protection. So you're absolutely on the money. Yeah.
Very good. Now, you know what? You remember we said that we have, this actually finishes our first segment. So we're going into the next segment, which is a letter that I received. I received these letters and they're really, really very interesting. Some of them are quick little texts. Somebody saying, can you get in touch with me? Can we have a session and all that sort of thing. And then there are some that are quite lengthy. And so I collect those lengthy ones. And as a matter of fact, I'm just compiling letters to Chiism from people who are listening to us. And it's exciting to know there are people who are listening to us. This one is from a gentleman. I don't know what part. It just says his name, and that is Jonathan Nichols. So I imagine he's African American. I guess he's African American. I don't know. It didn't give me the race of the person, just Jonathan Nichols. So obviously we know he's a male. But this is what he wrote. He said, "Dear Dr. Simere, I'm so conflicted, and I hope that you can help me with my troubles, you and your team." Okay. All my relatives are Christian, and honestly, they're very good people. My mother is a loving mother. And when we were growing up, everything was about us. And she did everything she could to make us happy, kept us clean and well fed. My father is a pastor, works very hard, and is loving to everyone. We often went to church and we did the right things. And I must admit that I had a very loving and kind Christian family. But I'm now 26 years old and I have become detached from organized religion. I find myself more drawn to the research. Oh, okay, wait a minute. Of traditional religions. Right? I don't know if that means he's African. Okay. He said, I found a lot of, I found a lot of different African religions, very soothing, as well as the Native American Oriental religions. They're very soothing. My family is so angry with me, though, that they have decided to disown me and disown me. And it doesn't matter how much I tell them, it doesn't stop me from loving them. They just will not accept me unless I come back into this religious fold. The constant harangue of me going to hell does impact me mentally. And I find myself so confused and suicidal sometimes. Well, anyway, I think I'm getting better. I attended a workshop on how to mentally heal from religious indoctrination, and I'm doing better. Recently, however, I found Shiism on the internet. I like the concept of having the creator in me and seeing it in others as a way of honoring God. I love my family very much, and I do not wish to upset them, but I feel that I have a right to approach my spirituality how I choose. How do I convince them that I'm not tied to them through religion, but through birth? Wow.
That's
Who
deep.
wants to take that first? I have my own thoughts. Tell me what you think.
I think he may already have had an understanding of how the family got the religion in the first place. I'm a great proponent of practicing what you preach. How does their behavior reflect the essence of Christianism that they have embraced? Maybe it's very important for him to maybe go through some of the dictates of Christianism. For example, thou shalt not, the commandments, right? That deals with human relationships. You know, thou shalt not this, thou shalt not lie, thou shalt not this, and all that. Explore the commonality. I like to use that because I find that a very, very powerful instrument. The commandments and how that relates to all religions,
Yes.
right? How does the 10 commandments, of course, there are more than 10, there are 130 something of them, you know, from Egyptian Book of the Dead and whoever else comes up with what they come up with. But how does that relate to what you're practicing in terms of what is the difference between thou shalt not kill in Christianity and thou shalt not kill in Judaism, thou shalt not kill in Islam, thou shalt not kill in Buddhism? What's the difference? Right? Because we can get caught up in Jesus being the Son of God and Muhammad being the last prophet and all that stuff. You're deifying humans. There's nothing spiritual about that. So I try to get away from that and then use the 10 commandments. That is a commandment that is common amongst all human spiritual families and religions. Thou shalt not lie. What is a lie? Is a lie different in Buddhism than it is in Shinto? Is it different in Shinto than it is in Christianism? Is a Christian lie different from a Muslim lie? What is a lie? Explore the commonality between all religions, and that commonality can be found in these commandments, not in the process, because people are always carried away with process of supplication. That's where the divide comes from. It's not about believing in God. I mean, Muslims believe in God, don't they? Christians believe in God too. Shias believe in God. There's a whole bunch of religions out there. Hinduism has a creator. Okay, Buddhism is another version of Hindu religion. Buddhism is Indian, it's not Chinese. Taoism, Confucianism is Chinese. What are the commonalities? And the commonalities amongst all religions can be found in these commandments. Thou shalt not commit adultery. What is the difference between Chi saying it and the Buddhist saying the same thing? If he can explore these commonalities through these commandments, thou shalt not bear false witness. I don't know if there's anywhere in African spirituality that it said it's okay for you to bear false witness, or in Buddhism, or in Shintoism, or in any other world religion. Those religious absolutes are the same, no matter where you go. The only difference in religion, for the most part, is the process of supplication, not necessarily a belief in a supreme being, because a lot of religions believe in a supreme being. The rest of them are more focused in a relationship with nature. Which, when
how does he present? His problem is how to present all of what you're saying. How does he present it to a family who does not want to listen?
It's simple. It's not really about whether they want to listen or whether they don't want to listen. He's spending too much time trying to convince them of anything. Mm-hmm. He shouldn't come. It's not his business. That problem is theirs. He's a spiritual being. That problem is theirs. There's nothing to convince anybody of. Follow your truth. Because the moment you start trying to convince them, then you're doing the same thing that you're accusing them of doing. They're trying to convince you to walk with them. You're trying to convince them to walk with you. Mm-hmm. There's no point convincing anybody. You have to embrace your truth, live your life, become an example, and become a light that shines through where they can see it and say, you know what? Mm-hmm. The way he's living his life is exemplifying everything that he's talking about. If you want to have a spiritual discussion with anybody from any religion, you must bring it down to the absolutes, the 10 commandments.
Yes.
Don't argue with, because anything else you're arguing about is about process.
Yes.
Jesus is the only way. It's a process. Muhammad is the last prophet. It's a process. Don't get involved with the process, because most people in Abrahamic religions, except for Judaism, are not interested in God. Did you hear what I just said?
Yes.
Islam and Christianity have no interest in God worship. They're more interested in their hero. Only through Christ can you get to God. Muhammad is the last prophet. How do you know? Why? Because he said that? Did God come from the sky and say, hey, folks, my Arabian brothers and sisters, here's your last prophet. Talk to y'all later. Did God himself
So
in the Bible?
In effect, he should follow his own heart.
His own heart.
I love
That's
that.
it. That's it. Live your life. Be the beacon of light. Be an example. Sooner or later, they will follow suit. Period. Don't convince them of anything, because once you start trying to convince somebody and try to make them see things your own way, you are now guilty of the same thing that you're accusing them of. Live your life. If they have any issues or questions, let them ask you. You don't have to ask them anything, because you grew up there. You already know the pitfalls of their attitudes and behaviors and belief system that made you reject it and start seeking something else. If they got a problem, let them come to you. And the way for you to have the discussion is to deal with the 10 commandments, because those commandments are common amongst all religions and spiritualities. Period.
Thank you. Thank you.
Thank you.
You know, Dr. Monet, I think you went through something similar to that. Can you share your thoughts about that?
Well, I'm still kind of going through it, because all of my family is Christians. All of them. I have no family. The only family that I identify, my mother-in-law, Nana Oshandara, you know, that's felt like my own mother, you know, with the spirituality. Even before I met my husband or any of them, God had transitioned me out, or Chineke had transitioned me out of Christianity. And organized, people would ask, well, what, are you a Christian? And for a lot of, you know, you go into your settings. I started working at in Detroit, so it's mostly African-American people, which when you go into those settings, most of the time, the first thing that African-Americans ask you is what church you go to. And I was being very transparent. I said, I'm not religious. Well, what do you practice? I practice love. Yep. That's it. I practice love.
Yep.
They didn't know what to do with that. So they took that from practicing love to, oh, she has to be evil. It's evil because I'm not lining up with your idea of, you know, falling into a church or whatever. But with me having integrity to be who I am, I've been able to help a lot of people, because those same people that are ridiculing you, that are saying whatever they're saying to you, are the same people coming back to you for help, because I'm a healer. Yes. I have a gift that Chineke has given me. So you can either take it or you can leave it. Whatever you think about me, that's none of my business.
Exactly.
So I have to go. Where I'm led is Chineke leads me. My ancestors lead me. You are not. I'm not going to say people are not important, but it's a hierarchy. If you're not, Chineke is first. My ancestors are second. Then it goes down. My family, and then it goes down. So whatever you have to say is not important to me, because you have to answer to what it is that you're doing. You know, so if you if you're being evil, or you're slandering me, or whatever you may be doing, you have to deal with that. You're creating your own web. I don't have to do anything to you. But a lot of times you don't try to explain what I learned, especially with my family. I don't try to explain to them where I am spiritually, because they don't understand. I know they're not going to understand. It's like if you have a child and you have a 2-year-old you're trying to teach algebra to, they're not going to understand it. They'll never understand it. So I respect my family and where they're at in their beliefs, but I also understand that they're at a maturation level that they do not understand what I believe or my spiritual path. They don't understand it. But what they do see, they see what I do. They see the healings that I do. They see when I come to them, because if the ancestors say, come to your father, come to whoever, I'm coming to them and I'm giving them the message. It's many times I went to my father and said, well, your grandfather have said this, this, and that, and he could relate to it because those were prayers that you had. How would I know of that? But he understood what was being brought forth.
Yes.
So, I'm going to be in integrity with Chineke. That's been integrity with Chineke. That's been integrity with the ancestors. A lot of times, and in his case, his father is a pastor. His mother is a first lady. And a lot of times in the church, it's not really about, okay, they believe so strongly into Christianity. It's about how they look. It's about how they're looking as a family. What will the congregation think that their son is not supporting what they do? They're not supporting he's not going to the church or believe the way that they believe. Mm-hmm. Because it becomes kind of like a family business. The spirituality part is not as important because I have Christians that come to me. A lot of a lot of my clients are Christians, and a lot of them are Christians. I even have some pastors. They're not telling their congregation they're coming to me for spiritual work. And even trying to incorporate some of the things that I do. But you have to understand that in his situation, what comes to me more is that his family is about their reputation. It's about, okay, the congregation is going to look at me this way or that way. Yeah. But my advice is don't discuss it with them. You know what I'm saying? Love your family. I love my family. Yeah. But I don't discuss or go in depth with the knowledge that Chineke gives me. You have to guard that. That is very important. Because you don't want that information that's coming from the ancestors, coming from Chineke, that's leading you to your spiritual journey is very valuable. And you don't want people to, talk negative about that because it's holy. Just like they feel that their religion is holy. This is holy. So when you come, just come as who you are. You don't have to discuss, or if if they get into topics about you coming back to the church or whatever, or being a Christian or all of that, as an adult, you can say, well, I would rather not talk about that. Let's talk about something else, or change the subject so that you're not getting in that dialogue, which is causing conflict.
Absolutely.
But love your family. They just for one, they just don't understand. Yeah. For two, it's funny. I just remembered that. So my mother did not understand what I do, what I did. She's never understood me, with me being so intuitive and gifted all of my life. She was scared of it, and she never understood it. So now, she sees the work that I do, and she said, yeah, that's Christian. That is Christianity. Nothing about what I do is Christian. You know what I'm saying? I mean, good.
She just doesn't want to accept that you're doing anything different.
Right. But she's seen, that's the only thing she knows. She identifies as spirituality. She's never researched or practiced any other religion besides Christianity. So for her, she's looking at it like, okay, that's a good, she's doing good for people. So that must be Christianity. I'll let her have that. I'll let her have that. It's just like today is Easter. We'll be seeing the family, for Easter, whatever they do their Easter things. I'm not going to argue with them about what they believe. I look at it here. What I woke up with was the bunny rabbit came to my mind, and even before the show, which is reconciliation, which is confirmation of the message that's coming forth that the ancestors in Chineke wanted me to hear today, and also transformation, so that is the thought that came in my mind, and I got really excited about that, but for them, it is the, it is the resurrection of Christ. For me, I'm looking at it as, this is the new year. Everything is coming, everything is growing up. Everything is coming, new beginnings, but I can't tell them that because they don't understand that. They do not have an understanding of that. So I let them have what they believe. And eventually, if they come to me and say, well, you have questions, I don't lie. If you're asking me questions about what I believe, I'm not going to lie to you, but I'm not going to try to push what I believe on you, because you're not there yet. You don't understand it. And a lot of times they're scared of it. They have especially in the African American community, we fear so much. It's like the statues. We have my mother-in-law statues in the house. Some of my family members are scared of African statues. They scared. I had an aunt tell me, I'm at the African American festival and I saw her. We run into her and she said, "You're not scared of those statues over there? Those are," she was like, "I don't know if those are demonic." And I'm like, "What do you know?" So not knowing, you're ignorant, but I can't down them because they just don't know. They're ignorant. And this has been conditioned. This is the oppressor made sure that we were scared of what is valuable to our community. That's our spirituality, how we identify ourselves. And so we have to. I would advise for him, do not even get in the dialogue with them about your spiritual journey. They're not going to understand it. Plus, they're wanting to meet the status quo. They don't want to go to church, and people say, "Well, where is whatever is the son's name?" Well, where has he been? Why hasn't he been coming to church? And they don't want to. They're feeling embarrassed because, especially with the father being a pastor, you're not subscribing to what they're teaching, what they're selling, and people are buying it because people pay tithes for this.
The business.
So, I wouldn't, get into any dialogue with that. You have to follow your path, the path that China K is taking you down, and the path that the ancestors are taking you down. And you do not want to be out of integrity with that. That's when you start having issues in your life,
Problem.
So
that's right.
That's
right.
I
Thank you so much. Thank you for that input. It's so valuable. Dibia Chiedozie, your thoughts on what this young man is going through?
I will tell my friend, welcome to the league. Welcome to the league. Some of us have been through that and we're still going through it, like the lonely voice in the wild wilderness. So I think on this program, I once told the story of how I was called and put in the quadrangle, but I was disgracing the family. The family is known for a tradition of being Catholic, and here I am propounding African spirituality. And I had to ask my dad, was if his own father was a Catholic. He said it didn't matter. I said, "Oh, father, you have to answer me. If your father wasn't a Catholic, what was he? He was a traditionalist." So I'm going back to base. And then it's like, that's not the way of Christ. I said, "Oh," when they finish, I said, "Dad, that is exactly what Christ did. Because when Christ was on earth, there were no churches. What we had was synagogue. And on the day he was named, pigeon was killed, and that's the only one record that we know. And the things he did he did it in the form of jibia, using his spittle to mold earth, and then pasting it on the blind man's eye and say, "Go to the pool and wash your eye," after speaking to the mud. And then spitting into the ear of the deaf, putting his little finger into it, and doing some incantations. And then he says, "Ephesus, be opened." And in fact, I had to bring the book of Barnabas. Then I had extras of it. How I lost it, I don't know, because the book of Barnabas tried to show that Christ was just a traditionalist. And for every miracle he did, there were some rituals involved. And it was like it was unheard of. So I had to tell them about the Apocrypha and what the Catholic Church did in doctoring the Bible, what King James did further to doctor the Bible, what Martin Luther and John Calvin did to doctor the Bible, so that it's only what they want us to know that they give to us. And then they held the Jewish substance to themselves for mental control. And so, my friend, welcome. Even in my house, I'm like the only one. And I see all the effort trying to drag the children along the Christian path. I don't quarrel. I don't argue. I just do my rituals. I do my prayers the African way. And the children love it. And when the mother-in-law comes and say, don't be like your father, my children chase her away and say, don't speak ill of our father. He's the best father on earth. He's a loving man. He loves the family. So, my friend, what you are going to do is the principle of Obinabo, what Yorubas call a Jobe, because the story is that Obinabo was supposed to be the youngest. But because of his humility, show of love, pragmatism, and human-heartedness, doing what he knows how to do best, not pretending about it. Don't be dogmatic about it, because you are seeking after spirituality.
That's
you are seeking after self-understanding.
Yes.
And then you should not only understand yourself, you should allow the Spirit open your eye to understanding people, that you are dealing with dogma, religion, and religion is noisy because it's hollow. Spirituality is deep, so it doesn't make noise. It's not looking for converts. And so that's exactly what you have been told by GBA doctors, GBA Simona, that don't go about proselytizing. Spirituality does not proselytize. The time you use preaching, use it to develop yourself, endow yourself, become a shining light. And then once you're a shining light, before you know it, like flowers, bees will come searching for the nectar. And don't expect that when they come to you, looking for one solution or the other, they go out and tell people, I went to Dibia Simona to go and collect spiritual knowledge. No, they go say their God told them, and for their God revealed to them. Because you remember, they are people for Christianity and Islam. Their God is everything you need to know is within their scripture, and nothing you need to know that is not in the scripture. Whatever is not in the scripture, yes, their ears and minds and everything about their being is blocked to it. So these are people with sealed mind. So don't try to go convincing nobody. Just search after yourself and concentrate your effort on self-discovery. Not too long, begin to understand you. In fact, by the time you concentrate your energy on yourself, self-development, you begin to see that the energy around you heals people. And when people come around you, they feel comfortable. They feel relaxed. And wherever you sit and you stand, when people go there and sit, they feel healing. So that's what you should concentrate on. Absolutely. And then if you have a vocation, concentrate your energy on that vocation. Make it exemplary. Excel in it in honesty and sincerity and kind-heartedness. But don't be stupid in allowing people to push you around. You also should be dogged and should be open-minded, alert-minded, agile-minded, to know when people just want to use you, and you don't allow that. You don't go quarreling with them. Just keep quiet as if you didn't hear them and walk away. So, apart from having faced a lot here in the department, I was called a voodoo man. I was called somebody who a witch. There's no sort of names I wasn't called. And when I would produce my candidates, and they were writing on Alpha, Ifa, as nature of spirit, imagination, trying to. It was before their proposals were delivered. It was like this man was bringing witchcraft to us. He was bringing voodoo to us. And when the proposal was written, one of them, Dr. Mrs. Kandi, came to me and said, she knocked on my door exactly 8 a.m. sharp. And I was like, who's knocking on my door? When I said, oh, auntie, because she taught me. I said, auntie, what's wrong? She said, oh, he said, my brother, my younger brother, have been unfair. She personally have been unfair to me. That she had maligned me, she had reported me, complained about me. That she now sees that I'm doing deep research. That by spirit, I'm in mind. And that by the time she finished reading the proposal, she was enlightened. That all they have been reading about African philosophy, it's all about spirituality, African spirituality.
Yes.
And that she understands where I'm going. So since then, nobody troubles me. I do my thing my own way, and I don't quarrel with people about it. I don't try to convince you. I just do my thing.
Yes.
And I sail through.
Yeah.
And that's how I'm going about it. So you're welcome to the league.
Thank you. Thank you. So welcome to if this is your first time joining us, if this is your first time joining us, I would like to thank you for joining us. And remember to hit the like button and share this video, because this video can really help quite a lot of people. Don't hesitate to share your thoughts on this discussion today in the comment section. I'd like to add my thoughts to what you guys have said. You have, I hope, because I did invite, sometimes you invite them to come and hear it. And so hopefully somehow, somewhere he's listening. I would like to thank all of you for sharing your thoughts on this, and also thank Jonathan for sharing his thought. As two individuals, as the DBS have indicated, we've been through that. We've been ostracized for trying to be who we are. So we understand how he's feeling. What he's experiencing is freedom of thought, and freedom is a state of mind. His state of mind has changed, not away from his family, but away from his old ways, the old ways he was taught to do things. He has now changed from using someone else's mind, but using his own. So sometimes in life, we must do just that, free our minds from the things that do not allow us to believe we are good enough, smart enough, young enough, old enough, or whatever, to do better on our own. We have to let that go. It is okay to feel free in your heart. It is okay not to be fearful that someone will stop you. It's okay. That's how it feels like when, when you are moving away from someone, it's not because they don't like you. It's not because they don't love you. It's because of the new you that's emerging. The new you that is emerging is going to leave them behind.
Yeah.
Not going to feel comfortable anymore. Sometimes they wouldn't even know how to relate to you because you're not thinking along the same lines as they do anymore. You become something different to them. They're not comfortable with that. That's what's going to happen when you move away from something that's not helping you. Those people who believe in what they believe, they think it's real and it means a lot to them, but they want you right where they are. It is important to free yourself from self-imposed limitations, because that's what it is.
Yes.
Self-imposed limitations.
Mm-hmm.
People will tell you that there are consequences for you not believing what they believe. It's okay, because the whole world doesn't believe in the same thing. So what are those consequences? There are Muslims who don't believe what Christians believe. There are Jewish people who don't believe what Christians and Muslims believe. There are people, there are Confucians. There are Buddhists. There are people who believe in different things. What is the consequence for them thinking differently? None. It's just the way things are. That's what they're believing. There comes a time when you have to let go of the apron strings. I've got 3 children. Do I want them to stay here forever? Yes. But the truth of the matter is they're growing up. They are finding their way. If their way directs them back to me, I praise God. But I'm not going to make them feel there's a consequence for them not believing my spiritual way. That is not good. As a matter of fact, you just said it earlier. You're doing the same thing that your parents are doing. If then you feel that for them to love you, for them to be a part of you, that they have to believe what you believe. It's okay. Let them believe what they believe, and you believe what you believe, and you move forward. Dibia Chair doesn't say you move forward. All the Dibias, Dibia Simone, same thing. No matter how much you love a person or people, you must not let them confine and define you, because then you will not be happy. You will not be free. Freedom is not just about being free of chains around your hands or around your feet. Freedom is freedom of the mind.
Yep.
To be able to think, to be able to learn new things and ask questions. Why is this way? Why is it when children are growing up, that's all they do? Why, Mom? Why, Dad? Why? Because they want to know. Part of growing up is learning new things. Children at some point, they don't have to just believe because they go to school, they start learning new things. Even parents understand that. Sometimes you can love people from a distance. If loving from proximity is not working, love them from a distance. You must give them room to adjust to the new you that's emerging. And then you need room yourself to adjust to the new you too. Because if you're going back and wondering what they're thinking, you're not adjusting yet. If you're wondering, are they still going to love me because I'm new or because of my new ways? You're not adjusting. Adjusting means that you accept and begin to work through life the way you are now thinking, provided it's helping you be a good human being. It doesn't mean that you close the door of communication with your family or your friends who think differently. It just means that the religion is not something you need to be discussing with them. Find other things to talk about. There's no need for you to raise it, because all they're going to do is tell you why you should do it. Talk about something else. And if it gets heavy, it's time to go. People are set in their ways, and they're not going to change. Your parents are set in their ways. Like you said, they raised you when you were a child. They raised you very well. You did quite well. But now you're moving forward. They raised you properly with their religion, and you turned out just fine.
Yes.
The difference now is that you have outgrown the old ways, what they taught you, and you're seeking something different for yourself. You're thinking, okay, I want to do something different. But what I want you, based on what all of us have said today, is for you to know that you are okay. And what happens sometimes is that they will come around and accept you. You just said that. They may come around and accept you. Dr. Monet said that. They come around, and the mother has come around and accepted in her way. Now, what she believes is fine. She's still a good girl. She's still a good lady. She's a good mom, good wife. So whatever it is she's practicing, it's okay. Dibia Chedozie says that this lady came to him after she realized that what she thought he was doing was incorrect. When she read what he wrote, she realized, oh my goodness, I made a mistake, and apologized. They come around.
They do.
They do come around.
Yes.
But the important thing is that for all of us, know that you're okay. Know that they are okay. But it's about you finding your place in the universe, learning how to be you. Sometimes you may have to step backwards and love them from a distance. Stay on the phone if that's what it's going to take. If you find that it becomes problematic, whenever you come around, don't forget to just make a phone call. Because you see, you can always put the phone down when it gets too heated. God gives us children, and it is our responsibility to raise them the way we know best. Sometimes we raise our children just how we were taught. Then when they become adults and they choose to go a separate way, we must love them through their new journey, because freedom is a gift we give those that we love. And that is my part. That's my take in this.
I want to say something real quickly.
Yes.
People sometimes are comfortable in their ignorance.
Yes.
Enlightenment is a lot of work. It's a lot of bees buzzing in your brain. The knowledge is not for everyone. I would say that. You know, job training is different. You know, you train to be a lawyer, be a doctor. That's your trade. That's what you concentrate on. That's what you know. Outside of that, it's a totally different ballgame. A lot of people are comfortable in their ignorance. And as far as this young man is concerned, beyond dealing with the 10 commandments that has commonality in all religions, there's a particular spiritual or religious talent of Christianism that he should pay attention to. And if he's ever involved in a dialogue with his folks, that's all he has to say. Let him think about it. And he has to end it with, think about this. If you believe in the Bible and in Christ, judge not, so ye shall not be judged.
Yes.
I don't care what you do. That was one thing about Jesus Christ, according to the Bible, that he was not going to compromise on. Judge not, so ye shall not be judged. You don't have to be a Christian to adopt this particular way of thinking. Whether you're Buddhist or whatever religion you belong to, whether you're just a strictly spiritual person, don't judge. It doesn't mean you cannot have an opinion about situations or about people based on their, behavior towards you. But judge not, so ye shall not be judged. Dr. Dibia Monet, you said it earlier. And we talk about this ad nauseum. I said it to OKDB and all that. And, Dibia has heard me say that this stuff is a business. It's a political business with capitalistic undertones. Dr. Evans told me personally when they were trying to convince me to switch sides and all that. And I asked him a simple question. I said, Doc, I don't mean any disrespect, but you do realize that if the Chinese had enslaved you, you will probably be a Buddhist right now.
Yes.
If somebody from any other religious persuasion had enslaved you, you will be talking about their religion right now based on how this religion was transmitted into you. He looked at me and he said, you know what, Yudi? I never thought about that. But you got to understand, this is a business and you need money to evangelize.
That's right.
Yes. It's a business. Yes. That's all it is. It's not really about the belief and all that, because if it was about the belief, then judge not, so ye shall not be judged. Mm-hmm. If there was one thing Jesus Christ taught people in that Bible is the perils of judging. Judge not, so ye shall not be judged. And you don't have to be a Christian to adopt this particular spiritual way of thinking. Stop judging people. Be careful who you step on your way up, because you might be on your way down. You're going to meet the same people.
Yes.
Today you'll be judging and talking. Tomorrow they will judge you. Look at Donald Trump.
Yes.
He was above reproach. He was above the law. He was this, judging, talking all kinds of nonsense. He and his followers. This guy is a defendant now. Here's Johnny. Like
life is something in it.
Like you just said, welcome to my world.
Welcome to my world.
You know what I'm saying? So my suggestion or advice, just like all the DBS on the forum, on this show have talked about today, is be the beacon of light. Live your life based on the spiritual tenets that you've adopted that will make you a better spiritual human being. Let them see the light shine through you. Trust me,
right.
You could catch a lot of bees with honey. That's just right. Live the right way. They will come to you. That's my advice.
Thank you. And now we're going to ask you all. We have about less than 3 minutes, for about 3 minutes to close up today, again, we talked about MGBAGHARA, which is forgiveness, to forgive the ancestors during our spiritual ancestral healing. Anybody want to close with that thought in mind? We'll start with you, Dibia Childezi. We'll let you end with that.
Yeah, for forgiveness, it's that's what Dibia Ochoaja talked about. For those who are Christians, they follow the dogmas of their pastors. They don't even follow Christianity as a spirituality, because the hub of Christianity is the Beatitudes. And the hub of the Beatitude is that say, how do you see the speck in my eye and you do not see the log of wood in your own eye? Meaning that before you can say you learn how to forgive people, you must learn how to live in peace with yourself. It's part of the last thing we said about 2, 3, or 4 Sundays ago, patience and Didi. You really have to look at yourself and admit that, look, let go. That forgiveness does not mean for you to forget. Does not mean you should get reckless.
Yes.
Because there are people that if you go down the lane, especially people who are after you to finish you up, to make sure everything about them is to hack you down, you can forgive them. That does not mean you should not take measures to protect yourself.
Yes,
but,
excellent.
Like I say, especially when it comes to internal feud within the family, if we don't practice forgiveness, then we can't move forward. That's why my people say, when you hold someone down, you are also holding yourself. When you imprison someone, like the warder dare not leave, because if he leaves, the prisoner leaves. So both the warder and the prisoner are prisoners. The difference is that one is inside the prison, one is outside the prison. That both of them are in the prison home. And so that's the way it is. You have to learn not just how, but when. Because that's the greatest wisdom. When you should forgive people. And when you forgive people, you become at peace. Then there will be progress. Because if we do not do that, we will not move. Because there is nobody that has not hurt the other in this world. And if we keep keeping animosity in the past, then we cannot move forward. However, while moving forward, we should be very, very careful in articulating the misdeeds of the past so that we don't replicate them in the future. They will.
They will. We have less than 2 minutes. Dr. Monet, you got 1 minute.
I'll just say, before, we talk about reconciliation. So in reconciliation, I think that's very key to getting to forgiveness, because in reconciliation, we're able to settle some things that we may not have been able to settle before, and then we're able to truly forgive. And this is an excellent, I would just encourage everyone to follow the ancestral healing. I think it is so important that we do this because our ancestors are very powerful.
And I thank you very much. And I do have a small book that covers the 4 steps in ancestral healing. It's available when anybody contacts me. It's an e-form, and I will make sure that that's available to you. UD, 1 second.
I'm just trying to say, MGBAGHARA, forgiveness is usually the last aspect of dialogue when there's conflict, right?
Yes.
Forgive.
Yes.
You don't have to forget, but you have to forgive. Like Dr. Chidozie said, for you to be able to bring about the right atmosphere for your blessings to come in, You have to forgive. If you don't, then you're imprisoning your own self.
That's
you
right.
become a prisoner.
That's right.
Of your angst. You become a prisoner. You can't forgive.
That's right.
You walk around like a zombie. All the decisions you make is almost based on the level of revenge.
Yes, yes.
You get
I'd like to
into a world that is not spiritual at all. So, Baghara, forgive. Don't forget. That's what life is all about.
Thank you so much. Thank you, Dibia Yudi. Thank you, Dibia Dozier. Thank you, Dibia Simone. That ends our program today, and I look forward to meeting with all of you again. I thank all of you in the audience who joined us today. People came and kept coming and kept going because, of course, you know, today's Easter. So there's a lot of things going on in the world. But anyway, thank you, everyone. We're going to have an exciting gathering again next Sunday. Be well. And so it is.
Yes.